Today's episode of Game Geeks is sponsored by Drive-Thru Rpg.com. Hi folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today's episode is a Drive-Thru Rpg.com product, Return to the Road of Kings, a Conan role-playing game supplement. For a limited time after the initial airing of this episode, you can use the coupon code seen below to get a discount off of this PDF project through drivethrurpg.com. Now, what is Return to the Road of Kings? Well, let me tell you what it is and then what I plan on discussing it in terms of its use. This is a supplement for the Conan role-playing game, which is a D20-based system by Mongoose Publishing. I do not plan on discussing the applicability of this supplement as a D20-based product for either the Conan game or for any other. And to be honest with you, there's actually limited stat blocks in this book for such an application. I'm going to discuss this as a gazetteer of the Hyborian World as written by Robert E. Howard and other diverse hands, and then how you can use this for your particular role-playing game. Let's get this out of the way early. This is a sword and sorcery type setting. So, fighting, good. Saving the virgin sacrifices from the evil cultists, good. Magic, bad. Barbarians, good. Snake people, bad. You get the basic idea here. This is really about 200, almost 300 pages of background for a wonderfully developed sword and sorcery setting. And if you've ever seen the map for this world, it's very similar to what Robert E. Howard basically spot welded Africa and Europe together, took out the Mediterranean Sea, and threw in a bunch of other stuff, and you have the Hyborian World. This details a lot of his work and the works from a lot of the other people called pastiches that came in later. So if you are a Robert E. Howard purist, this is probably not the best work for you. For those of you who turn up your nose at the works of other people who've played in his sandbox, everyone from Lynn Carter, L. Sprague de Camp, all the way up to and including Robert Jordan, I kind of point out that without these people, the Conan line probably would have died off or had just become a mainly an academic sort of work a long time ago. This presents a world where magic is low and pretty much evil. There are a couple of obviously good kingdoms, obviously bad kingdoms, and pretty much what you would expect in these settings. So let's kind of talk our way through a little bit of it here. You've got Aquilonia, which is sort of the main good guy kingdom, which to me is kind of Roman if you look at it hard enough. Argos, which is Greece, all the way down to Stygia, which is sort of an evil, sort of Egypt as seen through the eyes of an evil cult. You've got Iranistan. I wonder what that's supposed to be. Kush, which is some of the dark African nations. And honestly, what you get in every one of these is a setting, sort of the society behind it, some of the people that you're likely to run into, social standings, how you can progress through society, what the country imports, exports, notable geography, notable people, how you can incorporate your characters into either being from this setting or interacting with that particular area as you go through it. I would not expect a lot of, how do I want to put this, deeply thought out sociology in terms of how one country can be abutted up next to another and have it make sense. In my opinion, the geography kind of makes sense, but a lot of these societies, you know what, no. But when you consider who wrote these, the era in which they were written, and what he used them for, I wouldn't expect a lot of depth in terms of, yes, this world sticks together and makes sense. He was a sword and sorcery writer. He wrote about a barbarian who ran through the world killing things and eventually became the king and the emperor of Aquilonia. All right. What can you use this for, aside from the obvious D20 system? Honestly, I would use this as a setting for anything you wanted to use in a sword and sorcery type of game. If I were to pick up tomorrow, if my players were to come in to me and say, Kurt, that's what they call me, Kurt, we want to run a sword and sorcery game, but we don't want to use D20 because we don't like it, or it's confusing, or it's just too complicated for us. How would you do this? But we want to play in Conan's world. I would take this book. I would take most of the engine from the Savage World of Solomon Kane, which is a Savage World setting, which we reviewed a long time ago. And I would use some of that with some of the other rules editions we've looked at over the years, and that's how I go with this. Robert E. Howard wrote both the Solomon Kane books and the Conan books, so there you go. It's all linked in together. Additionally, you have a fantastically well-developed setting here that you could really drop in almost anywhere. It is really rules light. Every now and then you get a stat block, but by and large, it is history of the world, history of the individual countries, and how you can use these for your game. Again, this is a Drive-Thru-Rpg.com product. If you like what you see here and you're interested in taking a look, it is available for a limited time after the initial airing of this episode for a discount using the coupon code seen below. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.
We average 9 new titles a day. That's over 60 a week. And we've got well over 15,000 RPG titles online right now. Drive-Thru RPG, the one true source for RPGs.